Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a weekend edition of As Good as It Gets. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with former New Jersey Nets shooting guard Derrick Gervin. Maybe I should say former Brooklyn Nets shooting guard now, since they moved over across the water to Brooklyn. But nonetheless, man, it's good to see you, brother. Good to get together and talk about some stuff. How are you doing, first and foremost?
Well, first I'm gonna say hi. It's good to see you as well, Ricky. Hey, I'm doing okay. We got what I call El Fuego down here in San Antonio. It's been on fire, even to me. So I guess I'm still talking, and I'm living. I'm above ground, so I'm doing okay. I haven't had a heat stroke, so all is well.
Yeah. Hey, serious business, and it's hot everywhere. Stay hydrated, because that is no joke, man. And I think about that because NFL training camps are opening up. Well, actually, the rookies reported for most teams a couple of days ago, and now the veterans will be getting into town starting tomorrow and Monday. So, football is on the way. We'll have a game in 2 weeks, albeit a preseason game.
Well, I haven't gotten into the football like I'm going to yet, but I will say this. It's going to be interesting leading up to training camp because, as we know, Aaron Rodgers is with the new team. Lamar Jackson got his new contract. There's a lot of stuff that we still got to uncover from last year. My team, Buffalo Bills, them addressing the running back situation. There's still a whole lot of things we'll be able to get into as we move forward.
If the Buffalo Bills want a running back, why don't you go get Dalvin Cook? He's just sitting out there.
Oh, Ricky, don't do
one
that.
Of the best. And something's wrong, man, when one of the best running backs in the league is out on the street. But that goes to show you what has happened with the running backs. In fact, we should hit on that for a minute. The running back in the National Football League has been devalued tremendously over the past 3 years, and is really hitting ahead now. And you've got some guys that have been speaking out about it. Cook is one. Austin Eckler out in San Diego is another one. Look at what's going on with Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley and Tony Pollard. I mean, these are all top-level running backs that can't get paid. And I just wonder, would Barry Sanders go through that today?
I don't think so. No, today he might. But, Ricky, I'm going to mention two guys. First, I'm going to start in Dallas. Ezekiel Elliott signing that 6-year deal or whatever they gave him for the $90 million. Okay. So we've seen what's happened with Ezekiel. Ever since then, it's been a roller coaster ride. But I'm going to name the guy that I really see is why these teams are reluctant to pay. We have to go back to the L.A. Rams, Mr. Sean McVay and his team, Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was the guy that they were heralding as the top running back at the time, and they were, trying to do their due diligence. That we give him the big money, and then, as you know, Gurley ended up getting injured, and he has never lived up to the hype since then. And it seems like after that, teams just started becoming skeptical, even though the running backs, I believe it's the longevity is like 3.2 years or something.
Yeah, well,
yeah. But it seems like after the Gurley, everyone became a little skeptical, a little nervous after the Todd Gurley injury. So now, man, it's hard. Do you want to pay these guys all of this money? And then you have so many quarterbacks that are mobile now. So a lot of these running backs aren't being used in the same capacity anyway. So that's definitely something they're going to have to look over and address.
Yeah, check this out. 6 years ago in 2017, the franchise tag for a running back was $12 million. Today, currently is down to $10 million. It has actually gone down. On that same token, franchise tag for quarterbacks has gone from 21 million in 2017 to 32 million. For wide receivers, it's gone from 15 million to 19.7 million. Offensive linemen, 14 million to 18 million. Defensive ends, 16 million to 19 million. Cornerbacks, 14 million to 18 million. And I read,
hey, Ricky, I'm sorry, but you left out a very important group.
What?
The offense, the tight end.
And tight end, I don't see it here for tight ends.
Their pay is increasing because you got the Travis Kelce's and all these guys now. Yeah. So now a lot of teams are building their offense around the quarterback and the tight ends a lot more.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what they can do. I mean,
look at it's going to continue to drop, Ricky. Right now, look at Saquon Barkley. That's another prime example.
Yeah.
Another guy that got hurt. Who they were talking about basically bringing out the Brinks truck for him. Like, who's the guy? Mr. Jalen Ramsey talked about the Brinks truck. So now they were about to do the same for Saquon Barkley. But look what happened to him with the Jets. Another premier running back who has been hurt, and we don't know if he'll ever be the same.
Yeah, it's they have taken a hit. Like I said, right now, Josh Jacobs has a franchise tag. He hadn't signed. He led the league in rushing. Barkley hadn't signed his. Tony Pollard in Dallas has not signed here. All three of those guys are Pro Bowl running backs. Aaron Jones, Green Bay's top running back, took a pay cut. Joe Mixon restructured his deal. And Dalvin Cook, who has rushed for more than 1,000 yards in each of the past 4 seasons, got cut. it is amazing. I think it's part of where the game has gone too, because now you, like you said, you're paying the quarterback so much, and so many of these guys have taken on some of the run game responsibility. Look at Justin Fields in Chicago. He was their leading rusher last year. So, you know,
Josh Allen. Look at Josh Allen.
Lamar Jackson. So really, you just get a guy you can just run in there and go from there.
Well, Patrick Mahomes and those guys are in demand today. The Justin Herberts, the Joe Burrows, all those guys are in demand. And the running back is kind of being devalued like the center in basketball.
Absolutely. And well, we're going to see how this works out, because they still have their place. I mean, the Joker just showed the value of a dominant center in the National Basketball Association.
Hey, Ricky, can I say this quickly? How it saddens me, though, because, you know, I'm being down here in the supposedly America's team, right? And to see what they've gone through with Ezekiel and now Tony Pollard. In my mind, from what I've seen, Tony Pollard has been capable of starting the last 3 years. So now he gets his opportunity finally. And now that he's getting his opportunity, he's being devalued as a running back. So the last 3 years is basically he didn't get what he deserved. Now he's being devalued. So these guys, once again, they're being undervalued and not going to get the pay that they were expecting to get going into their career. Breaks my heart.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's and look, $10 million is still nothing to sneeze at, but we're talking about market value here in regards to what the league is going to pay its players. So that is going to be interesting to watch. In the early favorites, D, I know Kansas City is they're going to be in the conversation as long as Patrick Mahomes is there.
This year, and a lot of people they've been disagreeing with me, but I'm going to say this. I like Justin Herbert leading his team a lot further this year. A lot of people got on me and they say Justin Herbert is not as good as Joe Burrow, but I disagree. I say that Joe Burrow has more weapons around him. And in my mind, to be honest with you, Justin Herbert is the second best quarterback in the league right now. And that's even over my guy, Josh Allen. I'm just going by player for player. Right now, I would have Justin Herbert as the second best quarterback in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, he is definitely one of the top ones. Hey. How about this? Magic Johnson is now one of the owners of the Washington Commanders. What are your thoughts on that? A little diversity in the ownership group of the National Football League.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. And I'm saying that in like 20 letters, fantastic. We're getting over the Daniel Snyder trash that went on there. A lot of the stuff that went on in the upper management as far as, messing with these ladies, just improper behavior. And then to see Magic do his interview, and he got really emotional. And that just showed me that there's a new sheriff in town in Washington. I think it's only something that's going to make the team better. I think it's going to benefit the city. But to see him get emotional like that, I know this was something that really touched his heart, and I'm happy for it. It's a new regime, and I think it's time.
Yeah, just a kid from Lansing. He's done pretty well, hasn't he?
Hey, Ricky, it's like seeing Donald Sterling leave the Clippers. It's no different to me. Is it Daniel Snyder getting out of there? It's great. And what team could you bring in than someone that's, I won't say spearheaded, but he's one of the top guys to have an Urban Magic Johnson to step in there. And I just think the timing is right.
Yeah. And Magic knew what I like. He understood the significance of a black man being part of a ownership group. And, there's been others in the past. I remember Condoleezza Rice and Lewis Hamilton were part of a group that tried to get in on the Broncos. Years ago, Walter Payton tried to get a group going. And it's amazing in 2023, we're just getting here, right?
But we're making progress because you just named some groups that were trying to get in that we know in the past that wouldn't even happen. So, we just keep pushing, and then here we are. So, yeah, I'm glad to see it come to fruition. I think it's a great move, and I'm going to support them 100%.
Yeah. Hey, I tell you what's going to be interesting to see what Deshaun Watson's going to be able to do this year. He had to sit out, I think it was 10 games last year. And when he came back, I mean, you could tell he was rusty. Is he going to be worth everything Cleveland has paid for him? And do they have enough around him? They got a really good running back there in Chubb. So they got a run game to go with him. Are they going to have enough for him to really be able to shine?
Well, that's going to be a good question because there are still some receivers out there. Of course, we know there are going to be a lot of moves that are going to happen. But I think they're going to try to give him a really good offensive roster. And it starts with receivers. They definitely need receivers because they have not just Nick Chubb. They have a couple of running backs that are really good. So you don't want to wear them down and get them injured early in the season. So you have to have a balanced attack. And I think that's what they'll do with Deshaun. He's actually one of the best passers in the league, a guy that can go downfield, a guy that can fit the ball in those little tight creases. So they're going to have to put a great offensive core around him. And I think they'll continue to do that as we move forward. And through training camp, we'll also show them how valuable he is and how much they need to do to upgrade their offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. It's fun, man. And because once training camp gets here, I mean, stuff starts moving. Before you know it, baseball season will be heading down the home stretch. You have the playoffs coming for baseball, then the series. NBA training camp will be here before you know it, D. And college football. Then you get that time where everything overlaps. You got football, basketball, baseball, all going at the same time practically. Uh,
Ricky, I just got off the phone. You and I started the show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. At 8:45 Eastern Standard, I was on the phone with a young man that they have listed as one of the free agents in the NBA by the name of Keaton Wallace, who played down here at UTSA. His brother just came out. It was the 10th pick in the draft, Kason Wallace. So just talking to him about having the right agent, someone that's going to really stand up for you through good and bad, and someone that's not going to just do it for that so they can get their percentage, someone that wants to see you go out and have the best opportunity to maximize your potential and to get in the league that I think he belongs in. So it's amazing. We just had that conversation 15 minutes before you and I got on the air.
yeah. And speaking of, summer league just ended. Cleveland Cavaliers won the summer league championship, got them a big ring. Uh, your thoughts on the summer league that just went by, D?
Well,
As we watched
first I'm going to
Cleveland and Houston, the championship game highlights.
Well, the first thing for Cleveland is I'm gonna say they got a brother. We might have a brother. Look like we're gonna have a brother tandem. You already know they have Evan Mobley. Now it looks like we're going to have Isaiah Mobley. So I'm always happy to see another brother combination get a chance to be in there. And I was happy with the way Cleveland looked in the summer league, the games that I saw. But I think that's another team that's on their way up. And you know what we're heading into, Ricky. It's parity now, and we got a lot of these young teams that are on the way up, and they're not doing it just through superstars. They're starting to give the role players the respect that they deserve again, and that's what I like about it more. It's not just build your team, stack your team. It start taking some of these guys and nurturing them from the beginning and watching them become the type of team like a Miami Heat that doesn't go out and make all of these moves. They do a lot of their stuff in-house, and that's what I like about it. So I love to see that.
Hey, Imani Bates played well during the summer league.
He's a keeper.
Had some good moments. The kid, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 15, which I think did him a disservice, D. You put a spotlight on that guy like that. And, he bounced around. Look at that great pass right there. He bounced around a little bit, went down to Memphis, didn't work out there, played last year at Eastern Michigan, where another great scorer used to play that you may have heard of. I think his name is George Gervin. Your thoughts on Imani?
Well, the reason I won't say so much that it did him a disservice, Ricky, is because if we look at it, LeBron was getting the same hype. So it comes down to the individual, basically, how you handle it. A lot of people would take that as a positive, having all that positive reinforcement that he was getting all around the country, Sports Illustrated and all that. But sometimes we know it takes some guys longer to mature than it takes others. But I think this will be a wake-up call for him, dropping to the 49th pick. But he's a guy I'm definitely going to support because, like you said, he was playing in Eastern Michigan in the George Gervin game above center. And that alone, and him also being from Ann Arbor or Ypsilanti, one of those two, which I'm also familiar with Ypsilanti. And so I think he's from Ann Arbor. He played in Ypsilanti, but I believe he's from Ann Arbor. But just being a Michigan guy, I'm going to support him, Ricky. And I think we have yet to see the best of Imani Bates. And I'm just glad Cleveland's giving him an opportunity, and I think he's going to make the best of it.
Hey, what would you tell some of these? Because you made an NBA team as a 4th-round draft pick. We don't even have a 4th-round draft pick now. What would you tell some of these young guys that are looking for a roster spot?
just go out and play basketball. Usually guys don't make it in most cases because they play kind of nervous. They don't show you who they really are because they so worried about making them a team, the team that they worry about making mistakes. And when you worry about making mistakes, you're already out of character. And so it's just go out and maximize your opportunity. Just show them the player that you are. Don't worry about anything. Just go out and let them see what type of player you are on both sides of the ball. And just give them who you are. Just be who you are. But later for the coaching, you're out there to play and to be seen by one team. If it doesn't work in Cleveland, there's 29 other teams. So don't limit yourself by not being yourself. Go out and just play your game and let them see what you have to offer.
Hey, right now I've got some highlights of Chet Holmgren. He was fantastic during the summer league. He's essentially a rookie, but he had that year to be around the pro game. We talked about him a little bit, and I know you loved him last year coming out. Your thoughts?
I'm a big Chet fan. So if you look at him, we talk about Wembanyama, and we'll get to him. But Chet is very mature defensively. Coming from Gonzaga, we know they play. I like Mark Few. I think he's one of the best coaches in college. I think his program has done well. If you look at it now, Drew Timmy's getting ready to catch on to a team. They got Mr. Jalen Suggs. All of those guys in the NBA now. Corey Kispert. So you got some guys that a lot of people didn't believe in, but they're sticking. And to me, now you got the best out of all of them. Chet can play on both ends of the floor. He has potential to be a Bill Russell type defensively. And that's what I like the most about him. Hey, Ricky, I said Bill Russell type. I didn't say the same level. But he's in that cat. He has potential to be a Bill Russell type defensively. I mean that. I can only go by what I've seen. I'm not the first one to say that. I also heard a gentleman by the name of Jerry West say these kind of things.
What are those aspects of his defensive game that make you say that he could do that?
He's very fluid in his movement for a big man. And Bill Russell, as we know, Bill was undersized as a center, but Bill was very smart. He knows how to take you out of your comfort zone. All it does is take me, Ricky, to move you 1 foot away from where you're used to catching the ball. And Chet is good at that, but this is what he's great at. See these hands here? As long as you go up vertically, as a defender, he's already, I'll say, second in the league. The second best player defensively in the league around the rim going up vertically behind Anthony Davis. And to me, that's big time. His ceiling is very high. Very high.
Wow. That will be fun to watch. Here's another guy. This is Chet again.
See, well, Ricky, you should have showed that, what he's going to do on that rim protection. Why?
Okay, hold on. That's great timing, too.
I'm telling you, isn't that Bill Russell? Bill Russell, great time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to be exactly on that, but look, he's going to surprise. He has potential to lead the league in block shots this year and alter shots. So look out, Rudy Gobert. Look out, Miles Turner. All you shot blockers, you got some help. Look out, Nick Claxton. You got two young guys coming at you.
Well, D, you think he's a better defender than Wembanyama? Because I think Wembanyama's already a really good defender.
I think they're going to be about equal, to be honest. They both can cover a lot of ground defensively. That's in the pick and roll and all that. Those are, for me, both of them are going to be special on the defensive end more so than the offensive end. So, yes, I put him right up there with Big Victor. I think they're going to be two premier defenders.
Hey, and think about this, man. Oklahoma was 40-42 last year and did not even have Holmgren for a single minute of playing time.
He's a guy, Ricky, he doesn't command the ball. He's the kind of guy that can just go with the offense, with the flow. He doesn't mind Shea Gilgeous-Alexander being the man. And when you have guys like that, they just fill that role. I think that's what you're looking at. He's a very mature guy for his age, and to be out a year, basically to see the ins and outs of the NBA while he was recovering, I think it's only going to help him. That's why right now I would put him just give him a slight edge over Victor.
Yeah, for Rookie of the Year.
Well, no, just for experience as far as playing. The Rookie of the Year, it'll be too early because we'll have to see what happens after 40 games in the second half of the season. But just right now, having that little experience and seeing all of these different teams, some of the things that Victor didn't see because Victor was playing in the playoffs and all of that, playing in the league in France. And Chet was actually here in the United States watching what was going on and learning as he was sitting on the bench seeing all these guys.
Yeah, yeah. This is some thoughts on Brandon Miller out of Alabama. He had a good summer league. Had some up and downs. Had a 26-point game.
My biggest issue with him is mentally, Ricky. It's not offensive, not his skill set. It's how he'll deal with when things aren't going well. He gets down on himself really, really easily. I saw him do it in the NCAA tournament. He basically took himself out of the game. And then I've seen him do it a few games in the summer league. So hopefully he'll grow out of that. But skill-wise, I mean, he's a smaller, I'll say not as good a version, but he has potential to be a little below a Kevin Durant type player offensively. But that's if he's strong mentally. And that would be my only question about him is how he'll handle adversity.
Yeah, because a rookie in the NBA, he's going to see adversity, right?
Yeah, without question. So it's how he's going to deal with it. He should understand that this team, if they made him the number 2 pick, so they took him over Scoot Henderson. So that means they really believe in him. They've overlooked the stuff that went by in the past that happened, and I've also gave him a pass. You know, right now I won't say a pass, but what happened in the summer, we already know about the gun incident and all that. But at some point, we have to move forward. As a player, I think he has a very, very high skill set, but he has a tendency to pout sometimes, and so that's the only question I would have about him. I have no question about his offensive skills at all.
Indeed, that jump you make, okay, you go from high school to college. Well, you go from junior high to high school. That's a jump. High school to college to the NBA. Explain those progressions.
Well, going from high school to college, you play against a lot of guys that you played against in high school, or if you kept up with them, you've seen all these All-American tournaments on ESPN and all of that. So it kind of prepares you for going into the college game. But to go from college to the pros, it's like night and day. And the first reason is because now you're going to a league where you're basically on your own. You've got a lot of money that's going to be coming in once or twice a month. And you're going to have to learn how to deal with having things that you haven't had before, having the opportunity to make some purchases that you could only dream about before. And a lot of times that hurts some guys because, I heard Marvin Hagler used to talk about sleeping on silk sheets first time, basically. Uh-huh. Some guys can deal with that and some can't. So that's the difference when you go to the pros. And then you got all this free time, Ricky. If you practice in the morning at 9 and you're done at 12, all the rest of the day, you got all this free time to do whatever you want to do. And if you go out in public, now you're going to be recognized more so than you were even in college. And there's going to be more expectations that are thrown your way that were thrown towards you in college. And this is where a lot of guys have to make the difference, understand the difference and the maturity level that it takes at this level.
And now the new wrinkle to this is social media. Everybody got a camera. Everybody's a reporter.
Well, if you're smart, you got to know that. If you don't want to, but here's the easiest way to deal with that. Don't be out in the public as often, and then you don't have to worry about it. Every time you basically blow your nose, there's going to be somebody with a camera. So you have to make good decisions. If you don't, it kind of reminds me of Charles Barkley used to go to the club, you know, the incident when he threw someone through the window. Ricky, do you remember that?
Remember that.
And here's the only thing that bothers me about Charles, because I love Charles. And you know I was drafted by Philly. If you don't want to fight, don't go to certain places where you know you might have an opportunity where someone's going to challenge you. It's that simple. Make better decisions. Start figuring out about you have to do this for your family. Now it's about accruing wealth for your family, generational wealth, they call it. And that's what I think some of these guys forget. So just remember, don't be on social media all the time like a Kevin Durant. Right now, focus on just getting your career in order and all the people around you. You're going to have to figure all of that out. Take care of all of that. And you don't have time for social media when you're trying to do all of that. Put yourself around people that want to see you succeed, not just the people that care about your popularity.
Yeah. Hey, we've talked about this guy, you know, ever since the draft came around. Victor Wembanyama, he had a couple of games in summer league, one bad one, one good one. What are his challenges going forward, and what are your expectations?
His challenges, I think, his only challenge, I think, will be learning to deal with the physicality. I don't think he'll have any other challenges. Like I mentioned, Brandon Miller. The good thing about Victor is surrounded by, first of all, he was playing for Tony Parker's team in France. And we all know about Tony Parker. So he has Tony Parker with him. He comes to San Antonio. Now you got a high character person, David Robinson, in your corner. You got a high character person, Manu Ginobili, who's going to be around you a lot in your corner. And you have a guy by the name of Tim Duncan, who also is going to be in your corner. So just by being around them, it will teach Victor how he needs to behave and how he needs to carry himself on a daily basis. And so to me, having those guys around you it's invaluable. It's something that most of these teams don't have. It's invaluable.
Yeah. Because he will struggle also, as good as he is, as big as he is.
Well, he's going to struggle when he runs into guys like Draymond, because Draymond already is unhappy with the comment he made about it being less physicality. So he's going to run into that part that he's going to deal with when guys putting that elbow in their chest when the ref's not looking and things like that. But I see him as being a very intelligent young man. He says all the right things. I think he'll be able to handle it. Of course, you got to go around the league once and get used to how all these teams play. But I think he's a young man that has a very good head on his shoulder, and he'll make the adjustment. I don't see him being a LeBron James right out the gate. As they say, he was the most coveted. I don't agree with that. I don't see him being LeBron out the gate, but I see him as a guy that's willing to learn and to listen. And he has a great coach, Greg Popovich, and I also think that works in his favor.
Does San Antonio make the jump to the playoffs this year?
Wow.
And the West is loaded.
They won 22 last year, and I'm going to tell you something funny. I went on Instagram, Ricky, this past weekend. Sunday, I believe it was, Saturday maybe. So I asked the people, I said, I want y'all to tell me your prediction for how many games the Spurs are going to win. So I had a lot of 28 games on there. I had some 34 games on there. I'm going to go out on the limb and say that they're going to win 40 games. And as you know, I believe 40 games will still put them in the play-in situation.
We got them in the play-in last year. Yeah.
So I'm going to say they're going to improve about 17 to 18 games. I know that's a lot, but I like what they're building around Victor. They have shooters. They're building shooters. They just brought in they re-signed Trey Jones. They just brought in Cameron Payne so that they could push the pace a little more. So I like what they're doing. I give them 40 wins, so I think that puts them in the play-in.
If they win the East, I'd put them in the play-in for sure. The West, it's just it's so many good teams out there. It's going to be interesting to see because, like I said, I'm looking at Oklahoma City 40-42. Plus, they get Chet Holmes, homegrown back. New Orleans, they were 42-40. Will they get Zion? Do you think this is the year he plays and stays healthy, D?
I don't even know if he's going to be in New Orleans when the season starts.
Well, that's true.
I still been hearing this talk about the Knicks. So, and that also goes back. You just said they were 42-40, Ricky, and Oklahoma City was 40-42. That's why I say if the Spurs get to 40 wins, they'll be in the play-in.
Right.
Some of the teams last year are going to move up. Some of the teams are going to move down. So I think 40-42 puts them in the play-in. But as far as Zion, I still don't know. I hope he stays in New Orleans because, for one, they got Antonio Daniels, who I love and I'm a friend of. He does the play-by-play on the radio. And, of course, they have Willie Green, who's the head coach from Detroit. So I want to see Zion stay there. I still want to see what it's like with him playing with Trey Murphy III. I'm trying to think of the other young forward that they have. Not Trey Murphy.
Brandon Ingram?
No. It's another young guy. It's two young guys. It's Trey Murphy III, and I got to think of the defender, the guy that plays really good defense. I can't think his name right now.
Hold on. I'm looking that roster up right now. Hill, I believe.
No. He's about 6'7".
Herbert Jones.
Yeah, there you go.
Herbert Jones.
One of the best defenders on the ball and off the ball. One of the best defenders in the league. So they got Herbert Jones, who also can give you a little offensively. They got Trey Murphy III. They've got Brandon Ingram, who we know has been playing at all-star level. They've got C.J. McCollum. They've got a very nice roster. And then when you throw in Zion, if you look at it, when he was playing last year, they were one of the best teams in the league. And so I think if he were to play, they would continue off of that.
I'd say the team that may be in trouble is Minnesota. They were 42-40, but I could see somebody jumping in for sure.
Well, we don't even know what's going to happen with the guy who said that people are going to talk about him like he changed this generation of play, Karl Anthony Towns. When he started talking that nonsense, I was already worried. And then, of course, you got Rudy Gobert, who's the guy that you really can't play a lot of minutes in the playoffs. I think Anthony Edwards is trying to make his name individually this year. He got the new contract, the big contract, so he wants to prove himself. So, yes, I'm like you. I see them as a team that's, instead of moving forward, I see them as a team that's going to kind of regress a little bit.
Hey, we were talking earlier about running backs and centers. To me, Karl Anthony Towns is one of these big centers that you go, he's okay. He could give you some good numbers, but you don't win having him in the middle.
He doesn't impact winning like that. And then if you really look at it, they had two twin towers. They had him and Rudy Gobert. But the problem with Cat, as they call him, Karl Anthony, is he wants to be a small forward. He kind of reminds me of Joel Embiid, Ricky. Instead of being the guy that they should be, a dominant big man down low, they want to show you the Steph Curry dribbles, the Kyrie dribbles, and Cat wants to be the best three-point shooter in the league. So the thinking is kind of backwards for me, but I see them definitely dropping a few notches this year.
Yeah. And over in the East, man, I like what Boston has done, bringing in Porzingis. Yeah, they had to give up some stuff. They lost Marcus Smart in the trade. But I was just reading, there's a story out that Jaylen Brown could be signing an extension worth up to $304 million. Your thoughts on Jaylen Brown, your thoughts on Boston with some of the moves they've made?
Wow. Well, I guess that we talked about the market earlier when we talked about football. I like Jaylen Brown, Ricky, but if I were to ask you today, is Jaylen Brown a star or is he a superstar? Well, I don't think you have the answer yet either. So
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean,
I don't.
he's definitely not a superstar.
Here's the scary thing, okay? You keep him and Tatum together. So you get Jason Tatum, you give Jalen this big money, and then Jason Tatum's turn comes up. So what are you going to do now with the rest of your roster as far as building around them? You're going to be handicapped. So they have a big decision to make on Jaylen Brown. I love Jaylen Brown, but for that money, oh man, I might be thinking about moving him. I'm just being honest. This is my thought.
I totally agree with you, man. And he has some value, I would think. A young player, productive player, but I'm not going to take him over. Gosh, the guy you just mentioned,
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum. I'm not taking him over Jason Tatum.
Or playing them equal either. I like Jalen, but if you saw in the playoffs, they tried it without. I'm just showing you how things happen. You saw it as well. Karma is something else. Jason Tatum gets hurt, so who becomes that number one option in the playoffs? It became Jaylen Brown.
Right.
And he answer the bell in Game 7? I believe he had between 6 and 8 turnovers.
Right.
So that's the last memory I have of Jaylen Brown, and I'm sure the front office also has those same memories, and that's why he's not signed as of yet.
Yeah, I couldn't make that move. He's not a number one to me.
No, he's not a number one to me either. He's a good second or third option, but he'll never be a first option on the winning team. I love Jaylen Brown, but we have to keep it real. I don't ever see him being a first option guy that's going to lead a team to a championship.
Yeah, I totally get that. But what about the addition they made bringing in Porzingis?
I like that, but is that keeping with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? I like that because they still have Robert Williams. They still have Derrick White, who had a sensational playoffs in my mind. But here's the question, Ricky. You add something. You add a very good offensive player who we know is another 7-footer, kind of similar to Victor and Chet Holmgren. But on the defensive end, you lose a Marcus Smart and you lose a Grant Williams. So you losing two of your toughest players, two guys that are not afraid to man up, two guys that can guard multiple positions. So I like the Porzingis addition, but I certainly didn't like the losing Marcus Smart and Grant Williams. So to me, they're a work in progress. I have to see it first to see how it might look.
Man, you know, Porzingis, it seems like he's been in the NBA forever. He is 27 years old, D.
He's moved around a lot, so that's not usually a very positive thing unless you're Tobias Harris and you're moving around because you're a good guy to have in the locker room. I don't know that about Porzingis, but he seems like he's been moving around because of his play. And I can prove it's not good because now my other guy's moving around, Ricky. Bowl.
Yeah.
So it's not always a good thing when you start to move from team to team. There must be some things going on that we don't notice, or just certain teams they don't think Porzingis is the guy to possibly get them over the hump.
Yeah. And speaking of moving around, James Harden says he will be at training camp this year in Philly.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's not gonna get fined for missing like Ben Simmons. He's smarter than that. Showing up doesn't mean anything, but here's the thing, Ricky. And you know, I have some people. Sometimes I don't tell you where I get my sources. Him and Daryl Morey, their relationship is a little fractured right now. And if you look at it, James Harden, never forget, he took a big pay cut. He took like a $15 million pay cut to come in. He came in better shape than he has before when he was basically looked like he was wearing a flak jacket in Houston. So he came in this year to play, and then they changed his style of play. So he doesn't seem to be too happy about that, and he doesn't seem to be too happy with Daryl Morey. So I wouldn't be surprised still to see him be moved this season to the Clippers.
How does he fit in? I think I asked you about this before, with having Kawhi and Paul George there, and James Harden. Now Harden can be a great facilitator, and he actually led the league in assists last year. Is that something you think he'd be interested in doing?
Tell me what's different between Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi, and then you go to Phoenix with the guy they expecting Bradley Beal to play point guard. So you got Bradley Beal, KD, Aiden, and Devin Booker. So I think that Ty Lue is thinking about ramping up the offense. That's why they won't give up. What's the young guy they refuse to give up? Terrence Mann. They refuse to give him up. So it looks like they're going to be a team that's going to go more towards offense. And so I think they feel that Harden could really help. And remember, they still have Russell Westbrook. So they look like a team that's going to try to push the pace. I have a lot of faith in Ty Lue. I think he knows how to make that work between the four of them. The thing is just them being healthy, which is the same conversation we have every year. Without Paul George and Kawhi being healthy, they won't go anywhere anyway.
Yeah, Kawhi, he's turned 32 now. Are you concerned about his health going forward?
Well, he's had his knee cleaned out, so supposedly he's going to be coming into camp healthier than he's been in the last few years. And if that happens, you already know me. He's my favorite player in the NBA. So if he comes in healthy, of course the Clippers, if you remember this, Ricky, last year when he was healthy, when they were picking teams to win the championship, the Clippers were in that conversation. Yeah. So if he comes back, they were right there. Some people picked the Clippers. So with the healthy Kawhi and the healthy Paul George, I see very good things for them again. It just depends on how Ty Lue will implement using some of the role players, the Terrence Manns and those guys. But, yes, the Clippers would be right there in the mix if they had a healthy Kawhi Leonard.
And so Harden only adds to that if he comes. And like you said, you still got Russell Westbrook there. So that's going to be interesting.
He still can score, Ricky. He just wouldn't, it wouldn't be. Now, this is what confuses me about James Harden, right? He was unhappy about the role he played in Philly, and he averaged 21 and 10, which still baffles me. You led the league in assists, 10.7 assists. I can tell you without looking at anything, 10.7, and he's upset about his role changing, and this is the furthest that Philly has went in years. And then you go to the Clippers, he's going to be basically asked to do the same thing. So that's the team he said out of his mouth that he would prefer to go to. So I don't know what they're promising him, but I'm just trying to figure out.
Maybe he wants to go back home, too. I think he's from L.A.
Where you say?
I think he's from L.A.
Well, yeah, but just if you're going to go out there and play, your role is going to be basically the same as it was in Philadelphia because they already have Kawhi and Paul George. So I'm just trying to figure out why he was unhappy in Philly playing that role, but he'll accept that role with the Clippers. It sounds like to me maybe he just had a problem with Joel Embiid.
What about and guys, we're heading down the home stretch here. Damian Lillard.
You notice that's been quiet lately because Miami keeps saying they don't want to give up. They don't want. Portland doesn't want Tyler Hero. They keep saying, but Dame, I don't know. I still can't see Dame being in Portland because you have Scoot Henderson there, and you have Anthony Simons there. And they have this young kid that they brought in that's a rookie that played well in the summer league who's also a point guard. So the point guard position is pretty much already filled up. That's with or without Dame. I still say Dame's going to move, and something tells me he said he didn't want to go to Boston, but I believe when it gets down to that time is going to be between Miami and Boston, and I can still see him ending up in Boston. I don't see why he wouldn't want to play in Boston, but I'm not Dame Lillard. What do you think, Ricky? Wouldn't Boston give him a better opportunity right now than Philadelphia?
Huh?
Wouldn't Boston give him a better opportunity to win right now than Philadelphia?
Oh my gosh. You sent him to Boston? Yes.
That's what I'm just trying to say. You know, they're talking in July, but I know things can change between July, August, September, October. So when Dame starts doing his due diligence, Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, Derrick White, Damian Lillard. That's a team that can contend for a title.
Would you give up Jaylen Brown for Damian?
If I had to, I certainly will, because I already said I don't want to pay Jaylen Brown that kind of money. Right. I think we're going to have some friction going on later on. I have to get him out of there, and I'm bringing in Dame Lillard. Someone has to come and someone has to go. And Jaylen will be the guy that has to go to get a Damian Lillard. And I can see that happening.
I am totally with you on that, D. Hey, man, we are almost done. Hey, Derrick, there was a little controversy in the music world that just this guy, Jason Aldean, country singer, has a song out called Try That in a Small Town, where it is really, and the song has been picked up by right-wing groups as it's kind of an anthem to small towns knocking big cities, and it caught your attention. Here's some lyrics on it. What was he saying here? Sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think that's cool? Act like a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on a flag and light it up. You know, we've seen this. This is just ode to small town America, I guess.
Well, I guess 1300 Pennsylvania Avenue must be small town, because I noticed he didn't address that. So we had a terrorist attack at the White House that I noticed he conveniently left out.
Yeah.
So that's the part I didn't like about it, but it's kind of hypocrisy to me, Ricky. If you can have free speech and it's basically inciting violence is the way I took it, but that's just my interpretation. It's inciting violence. So I have a problem with that, because it's okay for his song to incite violence and to basically fly off the charts as far as sales. But then we have other people that take a knee to stop violence, and they get condemned for that. So, I'm kind of confused about what's going on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that going on in this country, man. I mean, we are very divided country now, D, which is one of the great things about sports.
But the hypocrisy needs to stop. If you say a person has freedom of speech, that means a person has freedom of speech, right? So if I choose to kneel to protest, tell me how am I hurting anyone? If I choose to protest for racial injustice or just for violence in itself, and I choose to kneel for that, it is still free speech. So I don't condemn Jason Aldean for his song. It's free speech. But if it's going to be free speech, it needs to go both ways. No hypocrisy. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and nobody wants to see crime in our cities or in our small towns or anywhere.
Small or big town, right?
Yeah, you should be. You're right. You should be able to go everywhere and be safe and have a good time, not worry about somebody coming in and acting a fool. Yeah, but that doesn't just happen in big cities. That can happen any and everywhere. And just
people have a different interpretation, Ricky, when it fits that narrative. It's just like this. If I tell you to stand by, and I'm talking to the Proud Boys, what am I saying?
Yeah.
Just being honest.
Yeah, well,
I tell you to stand by. I'm not telling you to stand by so we can go to lunch.
Well, yeah. Now stand back and stand by, and see you in D.C. on January the 6th.
Right. So it's similar to this, but everybody has their own definition of, and for me, Jason Aldean made his song, but we got to get rid of all this hypocrisy if we really want to have the country that could be great like we always say it is.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts, T?
No, I just wanted to say, I think, I do have one final. Man, you are the greatest, and I mean that. I look forward to doing this show with you every week. I actually brag about you to my friends. I go on some of these Facebook pages, and I tell them to tune in. And I have to mention Mr. Rickey Hampton Sr. I think just working with you is kind of like Stephen A. If you notice, Stephen A. is trying to get Shannon Sharp in there. And that's how I feel doing this show with you every week. So I have to give you a shout out to Mr. Rickey Hampton Sr.
I appreciate you, brother. And hey, D, one more thing. Ben Simmons turned 27 on Thursday. I hope he had a great birthday, and I hope the young man gets a chance to go out there and just play basketball and do the best you can.
Will he be a rookie again? No, I'm just kidding. If you look at the amount of games he played, technically he still could be a rookie. I'm hoping that Ben gets it together. Hey, Ricky, I will say this quickly. I was kind of disappointed, but I can't tell him what decisions to make. I thought it would have been great for him to go play with Australia. I thought that gave him a chance to get his feet wet again, to regain his confidence. So I was kind of disappointed in that. But I guess he made the decision that he felt was best for his career, and I can't question that.
And D, I agree, man, because for one, he needs to play.
He needs to play.
And number two, it would be good where you go, where you would be the guy. You would be one of the best players on that roster.
And you're getting the accolades again. You're getting people that are supporting you. You're representing your country. So some of the negativity that he's been dealing with would be going away, and he would be heading back towards more positivity. So I thought there were several reasons he should have played, but of course, Ben is Ben.
Hey, do you think it's true that there are people in the NBA that are obviously, if you're in the NBA, you're really, really good, but you don't actually love playing basketball?
Yes, definitely. There are some players in there that don't love. There's some guys in there. Has that
always been the case, or do you see more of that now, you think?
I think more so now, because when we played, you just played for the love of the game. You didn't hear guys talking about money, and it wasn't talked about in the media. Now you got guys, all you hear now is generational wealth. So you got guys that want to make the NBA so they can get their families out of the situations that they've been in, poverty and all of that. And some of these guys are doing it to get their families out of this situation, and some are doing it for the love of the game. And I'm going to mention a guy, rest in peace, that played for the love of the game, because I get on him sometimes. Kobe Bryant. When you have as many injuries and serious injuries as Kobe had, Ricky, and to shoot 2 free throws after you've torn an Achilles tendon, that's what we need more of. And that's what we're missing today. So, hey, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Hey, well, we're going to get out of here, man. We'll be back Thursday. For my great friend Derrick Gervin, I'm Rick Hampton. Thanks for tuning in. You've been watching As Good as It Gets.
Rick, I love you. Thanks for tuning in, listeners. Everybody have a great weekend.